Khan, brother Khan. All right, this is Sirach chapter 28 and verse 14. It says, "A backbiting tongue hath disquieted many and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities has it pulled down and overthrown the houses of great men."
Woo!
Okay.
Shalom. All praise, glory, honor, and fear Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Waharakakadash. And an honor to the true elders, teachers, prophets, apostles that were truly sent from the Lord. And my main channel I usually be uploading on is gonna be down for 2 weeks. It got a strike because of what this world and what this platform calls as disinformation, wrong information. So, basically, if your channel's up, and if you have a platform, you have a place here, then you really not of the Lord, because the truth is really gone into its hidden chamber at this moment, in this time right now. And that's what the Lord's doing. The Lord's hiding his true men in his pavilion. And the thing about the Pharisees and scribes, that all they cared about was retaining and keeping their place that they had. And they do the same thing now. So by their fruit, by a tree, you're gonna know a tree by its fruit. So what men are doing, how they're conducting themselves, what they're going through, it's either you're going through the straight gate, which is only you at a time, one at a time, where the few is not a lot of people around you, or you're in the broad gate that's leading to destruction with the many, with the multitudes. And when you go to Ezra's, the Lord said that this would happen. It's like Ezra 14:6. These words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide. Right. So there's certain things that everyone knows to a certain degree, but there's certain things that's hidden, which only the ones that's hidden and with Yahweh Shai, hidden with the Lord, are gonna have. You see. So the truth shall be hidden. That's what the scriptures say. The truth shall be hidden. Sirach 42:19. He declared the things that are past and for it to come, and revealed the steps of hidden things. Right, and we're declaring what happened in the past with our nation. Before we entered into the promised land, a lot of things happened, heavy judgments, a whole lot of divisions, separations happened before we really entered in. So, same things happening now. Same things happening now. You say, 2 Ezra 5:1, nevertheless, as come in the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Right, so men are going to be taken in great number because they're not built upon and standing upon the sure foundation that's not going to be moved. Now, I was doing some reading. I'm gonna get into it, but let me first take this. Let me first bring out this precept. Now I'm gonna get a couple excerpts from this book. John 11 and verse 43. It says, and when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And that's what Yahushua is saying now. He's crying with a loud voice for his friends, the ones he really loves, and that are dead to this world, hidden, right? He's telling us to come forth, says, and he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound with a napkin. Yahushua said unto him, loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the thing which Yahushua did believed on him. So what it's going to take for the many to believe, they have to see certain things. But the Lord said, rather blessed are those that have not seen and yet still believe. It says, but some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. Now, the reason basically snitched and went about and told that to the Pharisees, it wasn't out of like admiration or love or joy, but was out of like spitefulness and envy and hatred on some snitch shit, trying to get them and Yahushua and the believers and those that are following the Lord in trouble, you see. So this is all a part of Jacob's trouble now that's happening now. It says, then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we for this man do with many miracles? If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. So the thing is with these Pharisees and chief priests and elders, they had a place amongst the Romans. They had a nation. They had, you know what I'm saying? They had it good, and they didn't want that taken away. They didn't want to sacrifice that. They didn't want to give that up. So they didn't leave the Lord alone. They were always spying on him, spying out him, trying to trap him in his words, you see. But nothing was basically able to happen because it wasn't time yet, you see. So when you go to this excerpt, I really want to bring this out because this is heavy. And that's why it's important to read and study on the scriptures and the certain judgments, and it really brings more things to light about what's happening now. So I'm gonna read a couple of the excerpts I really want to bring out. So first and foremost, this is book 4 of the Josephus, which I've been studying on, and Lord willing, I'm gonna be able to just read the whole thing, but it's a lot, but nonetheless, this is book 4, all right, from the rejection of that generation to the death of Moses. And in this last generation, which the Lord said, this generation all past to all be fulfilled, this generation is going to see the judgment of the Lord in the kingdom of heaven. You see, this is the last generation. Wisdom of Solomon 3:19, for horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation, right, that don't have the righteousness of Yahushua. Second Ezra 3:26, and all things that even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart. And that's what's happening, man. Like, a lot of guys have a wicked heart. They don't have the heart of flesh of Yahushua. They have a stony heart. They have that heart of the tablets, the stony stones that Moses broke when he came down and found them naked, worshiping the golden image of the calf. Same thing now. Guys are putting things that shine, and they're putting things together and say, oh yeah, you delivered us. The camp did, Hebrews 3:10, wherefore I was grieved with that generation and said, they do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways, right? They don't know the way of the Lord. You see? Luke 17 and verse 25, but first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. So you have to enter in the straight gate and enter into the Lord's rest, and it takes labor, it takes work. So the same thing's happening all over again. You see, that's why, like I said in Sirach, we're telling you of things that happened in the past, because they're finding their way happening again, because that which hath been is that which shall be done. And the spirits are subject to the prophets, such as the spirits of the ungodly are subject to the ungodly, you see. So chapter 2 here in the Josephus, it says, the sedition of Korah and of the multitude against Moses and against his brother concerning the priesthood. Now it's going to work Korah. Alright, this is in chapter 2. It says, Korah, a Hebrew of principal account, both by his family and by his wealth. So Korah was renowned, he was praised, he was honored, he had money. And you know how they say more money, more problems. Money is the root of all evil, you see. And while some have coveted after, 1 Timothy 6, they have erred from the faith, piercing themselves through with many sorrows. So the same thing's happening now. It says, one that was also able to speak well, and one that could easily persuade the people by his speeches. You see? So they're good with their mouth. They persuade men, they catch men. They don't, like the scripture say, through the terror of the Lord we persuade men. Yeah, by the fear of the Lord. But you have guys in this truth in GMS, and definitely in GMS, that they persuade men by the fear of men, of the fear of being kicked out the camp, in the synagogue, in the fear of losing their place in nation among these Romans, amongst America, amongst the social media and YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It says, saw that Moses was in exceeding great dignity and was uneasy at it, and envied him on that account. You see? So he envied Moses. He was jealous and envious. He was coveting after what Moses had, his gift, what the Lord bestowed upon him, and he had great riches. And he tried to use that against the righteous. Now let me jump down. All right, we're still in chapter 2. It says, so this is Korah going on, trying to prove his point. It says, for if God had determined to bestow that honor on one of the tribe of Levi, I am more worthy of it than he is. I myself being equal to Moses by my family, and superior to him both in riches and in age. So what's heavy, another heavy point about Korah, they were older. You see, they're older, man. Let me read this. But if God had determined to bestow it on the eldest tribe, that of Reuben, might have it most justly. So these men, their mind frame was that justify themselves amongst men of the carnal, not knowing it's all about who the Lord justifies, who the Lord chooses, who the Lord allows to come nigh his temple. It says, but if God had determined to bestow it on the eldest tribe, that of Reuben might have it most justly, and then Dathan and Abiram, and on the son of Peleth would have it, for these are the oldest men of that tribe, and potent on account of their great wealth also. Whew. Now Korah, when he said this, had a mind to appear to take care of the public welfare, but in reality, so see, Korah, he was trying to persuade and make it like he cared about the public and everybody else, but really all he cared about was himself. And Korah, Dathan, and Abiram are back here today in Great Millstone. You see, they have that spirit. They act like they're about the people and they're about everybody, but really they're all about themselves. They run that pyramid scheme. All they want is all the tithe and money for themselves, so they can just use it for whoredom, for pleasures and prostitution. You see, and they justify that. And it's getting really crazy, man. Let me keep reading. But in reality, he was endeavoring to procure to have that dignity transferred by the multitude to himself. You see. Now let me jump down. It says, the multitude themselves were provoked to be seditious, and attempted to stone Moses, and gather themselves together after indecent manner with confusion and disorder. Right, and that's what you have amongst these guys, is confusion and disorder. See, they think that, oh, I'm your elder, I'm your head. They think that's order. It's not. It's confusion, because they're making other men to forget who their true head is, being Yahweh Shai. And that's why, let me go to Revelation. Let me go to Revelation. Revelation 3 and verse 10. It says, because thou hast, let me start verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan. So these guys are of Satan. That's their synagogue. That's, who they're amongst. It says, which say they are Jews and are not. See, they're not really praising the Lord. That word Jew, right, it goes into Judah, Benjamin, Levi, but when you go into the word Judah, right, Yahweh the Yum, it means the praises of the Lord. You see, and that's what they don't have. They have the praise of men rather than have. They love the praise of men rather than the praises of God. It says, and are not but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. You see, so even amongst Israel, The Lord, he loves and he hates the evildoers. He hates those that persecute the righteous, you see. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. So we're being hidden. It says, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown, you see. And many crowns are being taken, you see, because they set men as their head instead of Yahweh Shai. Now, that's confusion and disorder. Now, matter of fact, let me get this precept here. Let me get some scriptures, and I'm keep reading. And it's a lot, but I'm just bringing out certain to just really hit this home, man, to show you what's happening, you know. So let me bring this out. First Maccabees 1 and verse 56. Now understand that during the time of the Grecians, of the abomination of desolation, and they were persecuting Jerusalem, right? You had our people that were a part of that. You see, they were joining hand in hand with the wicked, and they made a covenant with the wicked Israelites. Matter of fact, let me just read it. First Maccabees 1:11. It says, in those days went out there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. So they agree with the heathens. That's why Yahushua said, don't be like the heathens that rule over you. You know, they set up governors and kings and this and that. You see? It says that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. You see that? So they're not with wisdom. They're not with the Lord. You see, with much sorrow comes much wisdom. But they can't deal with the sorrow and the pain and the bitter part of this truth. So they make agreements and they sell out with Esau. Same thing now is no different. So First Maccabees 1 and verse 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit every one that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places. He said, we're in secret places, man. Hidden. You see? We can't be out in the general population. You see? Out there in the open. See, the Lord, he said that there was a certain time when Yahushua, he couldn't walk openly amongst the Jews. Meaning, like, he couldn't just be out there in the open, just like, hey, man, what's up? You know, like, because they wasn't with him, man. They were against him. They was with Esau and the Romans. And it was all about keeping their place in their seat, their high seat. It says, and even wheresoever they could flee for succor. Now, the 15th day of the month of Castle in the 140th and 5th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar. Now I want to say another thing too, because it said how Korah, he was very good with his speech. He could speak well. He was good with his tongue. But with Moses, right, and the righteous, they would stutter a lot. You know, they weren't the best at their speech. You know, even the Lord Yahweh, he had to rebuke Moses. He said, "Open your mouth and I will fill it." You know. Because Moses, like, I can't speak well. That's why the Lord gave him Aaron. You see? And then, I'm not to read, but the Lord, he didn't choose Aaron because it was Moses' brother, and he had respect to persons. You know how, like, people, like, they'll have a position, and be like, oh, I'm going to set up my brother, or I'm going to set up my friend. It wasn't because of that. It was because of the Lord. You see? This is all because of the Lord, man. This is not of men. But that's what Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, that's what they thought of. Oh, this is of men. This is because you guys know this is of the Lord, man. Let me keep reading. It says, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side. So the wicked, they're on every side. The vilest men are exalted on every side. It says, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. You see? So this is what they've been doing with the word. You see? And this is why they're doing it now. They're trying to, like, pervert the gospel. They're trying to, like, destroy the word. You know, because they were a part of murdering the word that was made flesh, Yahushai. You see? Now, I'm going to come back to this because it ties in with the judgment upon our people. So let me keep reading here. All right? So this is down, all right? book 4, chapter 2, part 4 in Josephus says, now although Moses had a great while ago foreseen this calumny of Korah, so Moses, right, he saw this coming, just like us. We saw this coming. We saw you guys coming in GMS and all these major camps to like hate us and persecute us and like act like we're dead, ignore us, you know, because the same thing you did to the prophets back then. Let's go to Jeremiah. Because when Jeremiah was speaking the words of the Lord, they didn't want to listen to him. You see? And when you do that, you're basically axing them out. You're like making it seem like they're dead and their words are not heard. You see? And that's the words of the wise men. Their words are not heard. So let's go to Jeremiah 18 and 18. It says, and then said they, let me start verse 17. Let me start verse 18. Then said they, come and let us devise devices against Jeremiah. So just like we read in 1 Maccabees 1 and 12, and this device pleased them well. The devices of the heathens, the devices of the wicked. It says they devised devices against Jeremiah, for the law shall not perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. Come and let us smite him with the tongue, and let's not give heed to any of his words. You see? So, jumping back, right? Let me get the point where, Moses is making his point where it wasn't of, just because he was his brother and respected persons, right? So it says, the priesthood at the command of God, and not by his own favor to him, to Aaron. He came to the assembly, and as for the multitude, he said not a word to them. So Moses, he didn't have anything to say to the multitude. Same with us. We don't have nothing to the multitude, man. But like Ezra said, let the multitude perish. I was born in vain. You see? It says, but spake as loud to Korah as he could, and being very skillful in making speeches and having this natural talent among others. You see? Quote, here's a quote. It says, O Korah, both thou and all these with thee, pointing to the 250 men, seem to be worthy of this honor, right? Double honor to the elders, double honor. It says, nor do I pretend but that this whole company may be worthy of the like dignity, although they may not be so rich or so great as you are. You see? And that's what men have done. Great millstone, I'm the greatest camp, I'm great, exalting themselves, exalting their gate. And all you guys that exalt your gate, you're gonna be destroyed. Just like back in the time of number 16. Alright, so I'm gonna jump down. Alright. We're still in part 2. Alright, it says, however, he himself will judge again, it shall be whom he would have to offer sacrifices to him, and to have the direction of matters of religion. For it is absurd that Korah, who is ambitious of this honor, should deprive God of the power of giving it to whom he pleases. Put an end, therefore, to your sedition and disturbance on this account. And tomorrow morning do every one of you that desire the priesthood bring a censer from home, and come hither with incense and fire. And do thou, O Korah, leave the judgment to God, and await to see on which side he will give his determination upon this occasion. But do not thou make thyself greater than God. You see? Now, let me just go back real quick. Let me go back to 1 Maccabees 1. Alright? And I know I'm like kind of all over the place, but that's what the Lord is doing. The Lord, he's covering all places. Nothing is undone, you see? And that volcano in La Palma, that's a sign of the judgment at hand. You see, it's not stopping, it's not ceasing. Just like Paul, he wouldn't cease from warning you of these fucking wolves, man. And we're not gonna stop either, you see? Now, let me read here, 1 Maccabees 1 in verse 57. And whosoever was found with any of the book of the testament or of any committed to the law. The king's command was that they should put him to death. You see? Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. You see? At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that it caused their children to be circumcised. Now, what's heavy about this is that this was symbolic of the old covenant, which was done away with. You see? Now let me read this. Genesis 17:11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. You see that? So that's the covenant between us and the Lord. But now it's all of the heart. It's of the mind now. You see? And they died for that. You know what I'm saying? They were willing to die. Even women were willing to die for that and sacrifice what they had. So that's why if it wasn't for the remnant, we would have been a song of more effeminate. Guys are effeminate in this truth, man. Deuteronomy 10:16. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, a great God, a mighty and a terrible, which regardeth not persons, nor taketh reward. He doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow. He loves the stranger, and giving him food and raiment. Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. And that's why the Lord said in Hebrews, right? Some have entertained angels unawares, you see? Jeremiah 4:4. Circumcise yourselves to the Lord, and take away the foreskin of your heart. Ye men of Judah, inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn, that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. And like what's happening with that volcano, which our power is consuming fire, you can't stop it. You can't defend yourself from it. You can't save anything that you built from it. It's gonna destroy everything in its path. All you can do is get start to running, man. Try to flee. You see, if you're able to. You see. Now, let me jump back into the Josephus. All right, so let me read chapter 3. It says, now how those that stirred up the sedition were destroyed, according to the will of God, and how Aaron, Moses' brother, both he and his posterity, retained the priesthood. And it's heavy because you have this elderly is losing his mind. Like he's losing his mind, just like Joe Biden. Talking about Solomon's a sodomite. If you disagree, you're emotional. You had him say, do a 5-minute video on number 16. You see, and the reason why they don't give much time and effort to it is because they know that it's not for them. It's really against them, because they've made themselves great. They've made themselves rich. You see, they've taken the bag just like Judas Iscariot. And now they're in that reprobate, plague spirit, not the Holy Spirit. They're against everything that Yahushua is saying and was saying and is saying now through us. So let me read this part. All right, we're in chapter 3 now. It says, now this congregation proved a turbulent one, and the multitude were in great suspense and expectation of what was to be done. And the same thing now. We're in the time of judgment, and the Lord's judging his people right now. Now, this word calumny, which that's what Korah was doing against Moses. This word calumny is the making of false and defamatory statements in order to damage someone's reputation, slander, right? Because, you're not in our camp. You're not in our great camp. You see, this is heavy, man. This is very important to understand. The Lord says, let those that are least in the church judge. So those that are least in this truth, that are least and small and insignificant, they're the ones that's really judging the judgment of the Lord. You see, we're not judging after the flesh or judging after, if you're in our camp or if you're not. We're judging righteous judgment of the Spirit, of the Word. Now, let me read here. It says, for some of them would have been pleased if Moses had been convicted of evil practices, but the wiser sort desired that they might be delivered from the present disorder and disturbance. For they were afraid that if the sedition went on, the good order of their settlement would rather be destroyed. But the whole body of the people do naturally delight in clamors against the governors, and by changing their opinions upon the harangues of every speaker, disturb the public tranquility. You see, And now Moses sent messengers for Abram and Dathan. See, so he was sending messengers to come up. You see? Now it says, this is what Abram and Dathan did. It says, they would not obey his summons, nay, would not overlook Moses' behavior, who was growing too great for them by evil practices. So they were calling what Moses was doing an evil practice. Same thing with us. Oh, you guys are, this is evil practice. You guys are evil. You guys are wicked. No, we're not, man. We're bearing our cross. We're being humiliated. We're being hated for the Lord. Luke 14:27. Matter of fact, 26 says, there went great multitude. All right, 25. It says, and this is the part of this is discipleship tested, you see. And there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yet in his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whosoever doth not bear his cross, come after me, cannot be my disciple. You see? And you, by you bearing your cross every day, is you what? Going through the straight gate and going through what Yahushua did. The rejection of the generation, the rejection of camps and men. You see? Alright. Now, just like Jeremiah, he said, you know, there was a time when Jeremiah was looking for the good for this people. But since they denied him, they hated him, they were trying to kill him, he said, you know what, don't pray for this people. You know, judge them, kill their children, kill their wives, man. You know what I'm saying? Alright, let me read this. Oh, I'm not gonna read that. Let me read this. Alright, so now we're coming into the judgment in the end of this video. Okay, we're coming into the judgment of the Lord in the end of this video. So let me read this. Alright, so now we're in chapter 3 and we're down in part 2. Alright, it says, come thou, I say, O Lord of the whole world, and that as such a judge and a witness to me as cannot be bribed. Right, Lord can't be bought with money. And this is Moses making his point. You see, which Moses definitely made his point known, man. He spoke up, he cried. He spoke with a loud voice, while Korah, Dathan, and Abiram were just fucking slid around like snakes, man, whispering, backbiting, trying to set up the righteous and take what was not rightfully theirs, right? And show how I have never admitted any gift against justice from any of the Hebrews, and I have never condemned a poor man that ought to have been acquitted on account of one that was rich, and have never attempted to hurt this commonwealth. Jump down, it says, demonstrate this, I say, by the punishment of Abiram and Dathan, who condemn thee as an insensible being. This wilt thou do by inflicting such an open punishment on these men who so madly fly in the face of thy glory, as will take them out of the world, not in any ordinary manner, but so that it may appear they do not die after the manner of other men. Let that ground which they tread upon open about them and consume them with their families and goods. This will be a demonstration of thy power to all men, and this method of their sufferings will be an instruction of wisdom for those that entertain profane sentiments of thee. By this means I shall be found a good servant in the precepts thou hast given by me. But if the calumnies they have raised against me be true, mayest thou preserve these men from every accident, evil accident, and bring all that destruction on me which I have imprecated upon them, right? And that's what Job said. Let me get this in Job. You see, so the thing is about the righteous men of the Lord, the true judges, they're judging righteous judgment. See, they're not judging others with what they're not gonna judge themselves with if they're doing something that's unrighteous or wicked or evil. You know what I'm saying? Job 10 and verse 15. If I be wicked, woe unto me. You see? And if I be righteous, yet will I not lift up my head. Woo. See, we're not exalting our gate, man. It says, I am full of confusion. Therefore see thou mine affliction. You see, now let me also get this as well. Job all said in Job 9. No, not Job 9. Job 9:29. If I be wicked, why then labor I in vain? You see, but our work isn't in vain because it's righteous. It's of Yahweh Shai. It's of righteous judgment. All right. My wife. Job 31 and verse. Because Job, he went through a lot of hell. He went through a lot of sorrow. Same thing with Moses. He was standing up for people that wanted to stone him time and time again. And they're trying to like raise up sedition and take his spot. You know what I'm saying? So let me read this. Job 31 in verse. Let me see where I'm going to start. Alright, verse 5. If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot hath hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in evil balance, that God may know my integrity, right? That we're innocent. You know? That we haven't taken of the accursed thing, or taken bribes, or done the work of the Lord deceitfully. You see? Says, if my step have turned out of the way, you see the straight gate, the narrow path, right? And my heart walked after mine eyes. You see, so we don't walk by sight, we walk by faith. Not what we can see, but of the unseen, the things of the heart, the spirit of the mind. And if any blot hath cleaved to mine hands, then let me sow, and let another eat. Yeah, let my offspring be rooted out. If mine heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down upon her. For this is an heinous crime, yet it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. Whoo! For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all mine increase. You see? So the Lord, he judges righteously, man. And he's doing that all over again. Alright, so let me, where was I? Right, so we read that part, right? So Moses making his point, like, you know, to judge these wicked men. But if he be the wicked, then let him be judging rather. That's what Elijah was doing too. The prophets were always setting up judgment where they were making a stand, and whoever wasn't with them making a stand, then there was going to be a judgment for that, you know? There's a division. There's always divisions being made, man. Now let me read this. It says, save this multitude that follow thy commandments, and preserve thee free from harm, and let them not partake of the punishment of those that have sinned. For thou knowest this, it is thyself, it is not just that for the wickedness of those men the whole body of the Israelites should suffer punishment. You see, so the Lord, he's going to sever the righteous from the wicked, and he's going to judge just the wicked. He's not going to destroy all the body. See, the Lord, he's presenting a church and a body of believers that have no schisms. There's no schisms amongst the body. They're going to be sound in faith, in baptism, and in judgment. So it says, when Moses had said this, with tears in his eyes, the ground was moved on a sudden, you see? And that's what's happening now. The heaven and earth is being moved at the presence of the Lord now. You see? So just like Paul, he had tears in his eyes. The men of the Lord had tears in their eyes. They had emotion. You see? So let me read this. Colossians 2:20. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Yahushua from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances? You see, so we're dead to this world. We don't live to this world. We live to the Lord. It says in verse 19, and not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands having nourishment ministered, and knit together increaseth with the increase of God. You see, not increasing in this world of Esau, of money and shit. Romans 6 and verse 9, knowing that Yahushua being raised from the dead, and it's heavy too, because that's what the Pharisees and the elders were always trying to do too. They were trying to like stop Yahushua from raising from the dead. You know, they set up centurions to guard his sepulcher so he wouldn't, you know, they thought that, they were so carnal, they thought that the disciples would come and try to like take his dead body out. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy like that, man. You see? Romans 6 and verse 9. Death hath no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he liveth unto God. Likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto God through Yahushua Mashiach our Lord. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey in the lust thereof. You see? So we're dead to this world, but we're alive to the Lord. So we use our breath and our time, our energy to the Lord, to serve the Lord. You see? And make that differentiate. Because the job of the priest, I'm going to say this, the job of the priest is to differentiate the clean from the unclean, the right from the wrong, the unholy from the unholy. You see? And this is exactly what Moses did in this situation. And the same thing we're doing now. You see? So it's really heavy, man. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. I got let me see. I got probably 2 more scriptures, but let me just read let me read the judgment now. All right, this is going into the judgment of Dathan, Abiram, and Korah. All right, this is the last part here. It says, all right, so let's keep reading here. It says, and the agitation that set in motion was like that which the wind produces in waves of the sea. The people were all affrighted, and the ground that was about their tents sunk down at the great noise and with terrible sound, and carried whatsoever was dear to the seditious into itself, who so entirely perished that there was not the least appearances that any man had ever been seen there. The earth that had opened itself about them, closing again, and becoming entire as it was before, insomuch that such as saw it afterward did not perceive that any such accident had happened to it. Such did these men perish and became a demonstration of the power of God. Now check this out. It says, because remember they were famous in the camp, right? It says, for they forgot the relation they bear to them, and the sight of this sad accident approved to the judgment given against them. And because they looked upon the people about Dathan as pestilent men, they thought they perished as such, and did not grieve for them. Whew. You see? They didn't even grieve for them, man. They didn't even shed a tear. You see? Pestilent. Let me get this word for pestilent. Pestilent is relating to and attending to pestilent. Right, pestilent defined. All right, so this word pestilent is causing annoyance, troublesome, destructive to light, deadly, harmful or dangerous to morals or public order, pernicious, right? And guys, they're speaking evil the way of truth, and they're following out their pernicious ways. They're plagued ways, man. They're plagued. It goes into pestilent. It goes into Latin pestis, which is a plague. Latin pestilens, unhealthy and destructive. You see that? It's heavy. It says now it's going to Korah. Now they attended to 250 men who indeed were honored by the people. Says, but also on account of their own, in which they excelled the others. So they excelled everybody else. Now, what's heavy about this is when you read the story of Acts of Stephen, the Lord gave him a mouth and wisdom which they couldn't even gainsay or resist, and they were so upset that they couldn't like deceive him or speak against what he was saying, that they just said, "Oh, you're blaspheming," and they just stoned him. They just falsely accused him and killed him as quickly as they could. You see? Now let me read this. This is going into Korah. It says, hereupon so great a fire shone out as no one ever saw in any that is made by the hand of man. See, so this wasn't of man. This wasn't arson, man. This was of the Lord. Neither in those eruptions out of the earth that are caused by the subterraneous burnings, volcanoes, nor in such fire as arise of their own accord in the woods, when the agitation is caused by the trees rubbing one against another. But this fire was very bright, and had terrible flame, such as is kindled at the command of God, by whose eruption on them all the company and Korah himself were destroyed. And this so entirely that their very bodies left no remains behind them. Aaron alone was preserved, and not at all hurt by the fire, because it was God that sent the fire. to burn those only who ought to be burned. Hereupon Moses, after these men were destroyed, was desirous that the memory of this judgment might be delivered down to posterity, and that future ages might be acquainted with it. You see? You see, this was a public judgment of God. This wasn't because Moses, wanted Aaron because it was his brother. You gotta respect the person. It had nothing to do with respect the person. This is who the Lord respected. It's who the Lord chose. So let me read this. Psalms 18:1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who spake unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And he said, I will love thee, O Lord, all my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. You see? So the Lord is worthy to be praised, man. Not men, all right? So you have to choose this day who you will serve. You're going to serve men in camps, or you're going to serve the Lord and be destroyed. You see? It's like you're going to serve the man in camps and those that are famous and honored and be destroyed and consumed, like that strange judgment, that scary judgment that's coming, or you're going to be serving the Lord and not hurt from these things, not harmed, not judged with the wicked. You got to choose. Time's running out. All right, so let me finish off with this. Mark 15 in verse 18. And they began to salute him, Hail, King of the Jews. And they smote him on the head with a reed, and did spit upon him, and bowing their knees, worshipped him. You see, they were mocking him though. It says, when they had mocked him, they took off the purple from him, and put his clothes on him, and led him out to crucify him. And they compel one Simon a Cyrenian, who passed by, coming out of the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to bear his cross. You see that? So we're compelling others to bear the cross of Yahushua. Help Yahushua. Help your brothers in this fight, man. This good fight of faith. You see? Because a friend can't be known in prosperity, but can only be known in adversity. You know what I'm saying? Can't be hidden. So everything is coming out to light now. All praises, glory, honor, and fear, Yahweh, Shin Yahushai, Wa'arakat, the Lord when he was edified. And I just really wanted to hammer that home, man, because when you read these certain scriptures and these certain books that really make you see it more, it really shows you more in depth of how wicked, how wrong these guys are for what they were doing. Same thing now, man. So take heed and repent and separate yourselves from these wicked men, lest you be consumed with them. Shalom.